عيسى يساوي زي فلتان خلينا فلتان. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا معينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. Did you send links? They know that, so they have the link. Okay. Hopefully we are sending this through internet for those who cannot attend, and if they have any question, they apparently, I don't know how, they can send through YouTube, or they can text me, although my phone has run out of battery. It's YouTube. Okay, it says YouTube. You should put it in YouTube. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We wanted to start this program only for to be an open forum, so we can. What's the pronunciation? Is forum or forium or forum? Forum. Forum. So that we can discuss any points, anything which is a question among us, really, if we can try to solve it. Because mainly, in my case at least, what is important is not the data. We have the data, but the keys to the data is important. So, because when you open the key and you just how to put the jigsaw in place, it creates a lot of meaning. And inshallah, our hope is that if Imam alayhi salam, he helps us, we can put everything in the jigsaw and to understand and see the big picture. Because as in anything else, the small details are good. We need clear detail, but to understand them, we need to go back on the bigger pictures. And always those are the main problem, because any context, any data really, and in order to understand it, you have to see it within a context, within a bigger picture. Otherwise, it changes its meaning, or it becomes meaningless. And that's what we feel is important. And one of the questions is that what is this life about, and what is the akhirah, hereafter? Is there as a value? One theory, that's a theory, I don't know, is that the data awareness, I don't know why, but because we've been told to always do, for example, every day we make salam to Aimeh, so that's certainly a reason behind it. And also they told us, if you think all the time of whatever around you, you can see the God hand in that thing, why he wanted, how he wanted, try to think from his eyes. Okay, that's another point. And also different occasions, like when you want to sleep, you even in the prayer or everywhere. We have this type of awareness. Even in the prayer, it's important to know what you are saying. So that awareness means to know, to understand. It seems that creates us, creates our future. That awareness creates. It's some sort of probably because of that. Again, this is part of the theories we have, and we have to develop it. And I hope even myself I can learn from others, because knowledge is not by one. Knowledge is distributed. Everybody has grasped one at least vision of it. So that's why we need brainstorming and this sort of forum, so we can gather together, put together, and make a new theory or correct the new theory, whatever. So that's it. But the trend, we can feel the trend. The trend is toward awareness. Awareness is in this world we know is being told as light, nur, and wajdan, wajada means find, and also well, to some extent we have love. We have to see, probably that's a side effect, but also maybe it's not original. But anyhow, the light, the awareness is, I believe, is the first. The real thing that creates our, if we call it DNA, somehow in the hereafter is called, one of the names for hereafter is Hayawan. Everything is live there, and live from what aspect? Live from this awareness aspect. I mean, we are live as long as we understand what's happening around us. Otherwise, we are dead. We don't understand. And Quran also uses, for those who idiot or don't use their mind or rational, they as living dead, zombies. So zombies also in Quran. We have these zombies. Well, he didn't use the word zombie. Okay. So now we start with the questions. Well, we have to start with you because we have the...
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for sure. There's one question which we're more like joining the dots together, specifically in reference to, as you mentioned, about dunya and akhirah. One aspect of Dua Nudba, which I think I briefly mentioned the other day to yourself, was about the relationship and the symbology of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam to space, stars, light. And yes, and in one particular instance, I've actually got it ready. I can bring it up. There's a section from Dua Nudba which starts with Yabna al-Budur al-Munira, Yabna al-Suraj al-Mudhi'a, Yabna al-Shuhub al-Saqiba, Yabna al-Anjum al-Zahira, Yabna al-Sabil al-Wadhiha, and it goes on. So that particular bit. And in Persian it says, Ey pesar mahaye darakhshan, ای پسر چراغ‌های روشن، ای پسر ستارگان فرو رونده، ای پسر ستارگان درخشنده. I've also reflected upon certain verses in the Holy Quran. One of them specifically in relation to Surah chapter Mulk, verse 5, where Allah Almighty says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينِ وَأَعْتَدْنَا لَهُمْ عَذَابَ السَّعِيرِ. So it's about the beautification of this world, but a part of this world which is sama ad-dunya. So it's the skies, the horizons, space. And that's the relationship there. But also it functions as a means of combating evil, zulamat. So there's a twofold approach to this light, or this star, misbah, where first of all one can be guided by it, which is it's used for navigation for some sailors or captains and astronomers, for example. And also perhaps there's a much more deeper meaning to it. So as an aspect of combating evil, rujuman shayateen. So it's a plural for shayateen and also zulamat. And that's where we were reflecting upon certain hadith narration as well, which is in reference to the Ahlul Bayt, specifically in this particular context of the holy month of Muharram, where Imam Hussein alayhi salam is referred to a ship of salvation and a guiding star, Misbahul Huda. And there's many more narrations where the concept or symbology, metaphor of light is used to the Holy Prophet alayhi salam, also in creation. So the genesis of creation, the Muhammadan light, in relation to one light, all the Ahlul Bayt coming from one light source, and no differentiation, being present there between them. So it's just putting these puzzles next to each other, building a bigger picture in the grand scheme of creation. Just want to see your thoughts.
Any point you want to add to that? Whatever. Even as a question. I mean, you don't need to add as a data, but as a question. Okay. So you didn't make your. Where is the problem? I mean, where did you find it?
Is it a valid correlation? So that the revelation, the scriptures, the du'as, and the hadiths are all 100% aligned towards this, that they have a function within creation as one, combating evil, as the verse indicates, and also the actual function of the star, because there was several instances before that.
The question was we hear and we see also in Islamic scripture, Dua Nudbah and Quran, that Ahlul Bayt are the source of light, or the guide, or related to cosmology somehow, also to beacon of light as Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and also they are chasing shaitan as Shuhb al-Thaqiba, or Rujuman al-Shayateen, also somehow is related to that or not, or what's the relation in altogether? As I said, in our case, the whole idea is to make what is the big picture behind this sort of data. What is in common altogether, if we go back, is light and darkness. So we see, interesting, this is by itself is also interesting, that Quran uses our senses, normal senses, not necessarily always out of body, out of some abstract understanding. If we want to understand abstract, we have to use our senses in order to understand abstract. That's the way Quran uses and practices and riwayat. So that's by itself is interesting. So to use the material experience is not bad, and it's not against Islam or against understanding. No, it's good as long as we use this experience to understand the higher level. Unfortunately, well, that's in fact, I can use it a different way. So at this stage, I'm not answering the question directly first. I'm speaking about methodology, because even in order to approach a subject, we should know which methodology is right. So the first point I wanted to raise is the methodology. So in the methodology, the way we feel, we understand, there are two ways. I mentioned last time, I don't know, I think you were there late, which I spoke about 5 minutes. The difference in methodologies are between إني تارك فيكم الثقلين كتاب الله وعترتي. These two differ in their methodology. The reach are the same, the result is the same, but the approach is different. The approach of Quran and logic and language is one way. The other one is empathy, is living, is feeling, is totally different. So when we are talking about language, any language or anything which we can speak of, anything, that all comes into one category. Quran by itself is written in word. It uses the word. It uses language, real language. I mean, the language we are speaking, okay, or it's Arabic, but nevertheless, it's language. It's not a practice, as you say, who, la, 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 like that's another way. We have to know these are, each one has its own methodology of learning. But Quran, no, he uses already, we should say, the language and normal life and normal experience and our own daily senses. So in order to understand higher level, we have to start from this low level. If we want to jump, we miss something and we jump like on a basis which is very unstable and may throw us down again. So please, first of all, as a methodology, we don't need to jump. Those who, from very beginning, they ask us only to believe without any using mind, like Christianity, they have this problem. So that's number one, as a methodology. But when we approach with A'imma, is a different approach. We just see them. How do they do it? It doesn't make sense? Okay, no problem. You don't need to make sense. In the first one, you have to make sense. In the second one, you don't need to make sense. You just see that this chap, he did it. So it should be right. Whatever understanding behind it, we don't need to know that. So that's why with A'imma, we need to follow exactly. And as much we follow them point by point without changing. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, he says that I was following my Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Nahj al-Balagh, he says the camels, maybe what do you call it? It's in English, I don't know what we call it. Anyhow, it's camel's baby following her mother. The camel, apparently, the baby, the child or cub, it puts its legs exactly on the position, on the place of the mother's leg. So when they move together, you feel it's only one. You don't understand there are two. So that much. I mean, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, I followed Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's Amir al-Mu'minin, and he's so stand. Why? You don't need to know. We come back to the God has wanted for his people, for his team. That's because he wanted. And that's why the religions have survived all these enemies of religions as a whole. there we see you mentioned four. Unfortunately, I forgot how you can start it, but you can read it, but it doesn't matter. We can see that there are النجوم الزاهرة نجوم أو الشهب الثاقبة 4 or 5 type of different type of either moon or sun or stars, but in any, again, another bracket I have to open, in any similarity analogy we use, we should know that there are many aspects to the one the concept which we want to use, and the one which we are using as an example or a similarity or analogy. Only one aspect is in common. There are many 10, 20, infinity, a lot of other aspects which doesn't fit. A'immah are humans, and galaxies or stellar things are material. They are not the same. Okay, that doesn't harm us. The point is important to know what aspect is the one in common, on what aspect of this similarity is important. And when we see these, you see also masabih, and you mentioned, and also the other. It's true. The one which is in common in all of these is light and darkness in the other side. And light and darkness, the meaning of it comes from guidance. Okay. The concept of light is important because we use a lot, and Christians also use. And to some extent, we are very much in common with Christianity in this. We see that God uses, and many ayahs, for example, he says, when you are in dark in the desert, and it's a stormy weather, and you get lost, you don't know where to go, it's dark. But when a light comes, or lightning, you see your road or your way for a while. You can walk, even if lightning is only less than a second, really, fraction of a second. But for some minutes, you know where to go. You go, even in darkness. But then you have to stop because you don't know really how to correct your way, because you may have dragged off the way. In darkness, you move, but you don't know you've got. I mean, for simply, you just close your eyes. I've done this. It's really, I don't know. It's not so easy. I mean, you set your path aside in your room or anyway, and you close. So God tells us in that verse that when there is a light, you understand, you will see your way, and you correct yourself. But when there isn't, you have to wait until the side effect, we can call it, is not direct guidance. It's shuhb al-thaqibah. It's forgot the meteors when they enter our hemisphere, they get burned. Quran and riwayat, they use this burning as Quran also says, these are some shayateen, Satans, who want to do something mischief, and this hemisphere burns them. So A'immah is also the same. So not only they give light, with their light or with their ability, as I said, this again is a bit different. It's not exactly light. It's a different aspect of their existence, of their maybe somehow related to light, because we see them almost the same place. But not necessarily, because again, maybe we say 2 or 3 points different. You don't need to be exactly in the same classification. But that's something we have to study it more later on. I can do it if necessary. Big Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the best terminology is the one Christians use, beacon of a light. Beacon is this by seaside. They put light big and help the ships to. And when there is a shipwreck, also you send what? A safeguard ship. So it's a safeguard ship. So it's a beacon of light, a safeguard ship is Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So and if you use this word, you can see all sorts of Christian sites. So they use this terminology quite a lot. Of course, they call it for Jesus, but nevertheless, the same concept. So altogether, I don't know what time you have to go. Okay. Oh, a lot. No, almost finished. I just want to know how we can expand it, because the light, again, it has a lot of aspects. We have to discuss it. It's not something that we can just say it's finished. No, it's not finished. It's something that we have to understand it, especially Dhulumat and Layl is different. Dhulumat, darkness, is the lack of light. But Layl is not. Layl and Nahar, they are two situations, two status. So status is different from lack or be or not to be. Light is guidance, and lack of it is ignorance, is lack of it. It's okay. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly opposite. But Layl and Nahar, no. Ayatain. They are two different things, two different beings. So it's a status. And now they use this digit and new idea. There is information theory. In the information theory, they use they call it again digital or binary. Sorry, not digital. They call it binary. Binary. When they say 0 and 1, 0 is not negative of 1. Is a different state. We have a 0, salam alaikum. We have a state, we can call it 0, another state, we can call it 1. So we can turn the switch on and off. We can call one of them 0, the other one 1, doesn't matter really. And also, to be and not to be is one of these, but black or orange, or if you have only two colors, can be binary. Not necessarily black is against negative of orange, for example. No. Layl and Nahar is like that. But light and Dhulumat, no. Light and Dhulumat, they are negative. And knowledge and ignorance, again, they are negative. So these are important. There is also another aspect of light which is very important, and I just touch upon it. I call it radio. I always use this analogy because it's easier. A radio, find the channel you can hear, and it becomes light. It gives you the liveliness. Noor is like that. So knowledge is different. Ilm, data is not Noor. That's what I want to make difference, as it's very important. As I said, I want to touch upon it to tell this importance of this difference between these two. But inshallah, anytime we can discuss that in detail, slowly, from different aspects. A book is like a radio, a dead radio. Unless you read it with awareness, you get the information from it. You have an output from it. Otherwise, Quran says you put a lot of books on back of the donkey, it's just moving it. It doesn't matter. Or the book itself, just paper. You can burn it. Yeah, that's good. For burning is good. But doesn't give you any information, any knowledge. To know the knowledge, you have to have a source of awareness. And you can read it again without thinking. Again, you don't get the knowledge. That click, we need that click. We need that sparkle. And without that sparkle, you don't get the knowledge within the book. So, Nur is the source of that sparkle, that sort of creating output from knowledge. So not knowledge itself. Nur is not knowledge, but it's something that can bring the knowledge to life, to the awareness. And as I said at the beginning, the awareness is something we need for hereafter. Here, we are trying. We are just trying to get something. And these are like charging our DNA, whatever you call it. So as long as we have awareness in this life, more is better. I'm saying that because we have instructions that at night you better wake up in parcels. So because every time you wake up, you give one salam to Imam Zaman, just a salam. That gives you sparkle. Another. And it seems it's like in our when we have memories, early days of RAM memory. One type of memory at that time, they didn't have this technology to put even this EEROM, which remains, even if battery is not there, it remains. But that time, even if they had the power, the RAM was losing data. So every second or milliseconds, we had to revive it. Just give it a light, read it, just read it. Just read the data, it wakes it up. And the data was revived again in it. And again after a few milliseconds, or depend, microseconds, it was probably, no, milliseconds. We had to read, so it revived that information. So it seems that in our life, we are in a zombie. From Akhira point of view, we are zombie. But a zombie which wakes quite a lot has a better life, a better shade altogether. And this shade is important for us for hereafter. It gives us better living condition, whatever you call it. I mean, fetus, okay, we don't have time and we'll finish it, inshallah. But this, and I said, many aspects to it, but please have this in mind and put it as a question so we can discuss it, inshallah. Thank you. دعا بکنیم. دعا کسی میخونه دعا میخونی شما خیلی دعا بکن. دعای خدا آخرت عاقبتمون رو میکنه. چه میدونم یه دعا.
خدای عاقبت همه رو ختم به خیر بکنه. الهی آمین. اللهم عجل ولك الفرج والعافية والنصر. صلوات اللهم صل على